Oh yeah. I fucking hate all people equally. Yellow, black, and white, you all suck to me. Why does it have to be this way? Welcome to Thoughts of Be So Great.
Just had to get that theme song in there for this one. It just works. Anywho, you may have heard that I've mentioned in my Fred Talk several times that humanity has barely reached adolescence. Our human minds are still evolving. We simply aren't fully developed yet, and we're not mature enough to grow to the next level. We're about at the maturity of a really smart 6-year-old dog. Shit, that dog is smarter than we are. How do I know this? Well, it's kind of obvious. The main example I cite is our undying love affair with killing each other. Why are humans so fucking fascinated with killing shit? Organized human conflict arguably began with the Roman gladiators, and we've just been updating the venue ever since. We cheer their modern equivalent in thinly veiled sports, celebrating bone-jarring tackles and knockout blows. We've lionized historical battles with, actual lions, conveniently glossing over the messy bits like blood, gore, suffering, and loss, and instead focusing on the heroic victory. It's like we need a constant reminder that someone, somewhere, is getting their teeth kicked in to feel, what? Superior? Alive? Are you not entertained? Who fucking knows? Then belligerent half-wit, not-so-great Britain strutted onto the world stage, a shitty, rainy-ass island flexing its naval muscles like a drunken pub brawler itching for a scrap. The British are so stupid, they still pay for a fucking king who can't do dick in the 21st century. And then Britain's baby Bubba brother, America, inherited that senseless spirit like a worn-ass hand-me-down championship belt, spending literally trillions of dollars a year on shit that does nothing else except kill people. And Bubba is always ready to rumble with anyone who even looks at it. Shit. Sometimes I think they're fixin' to fight themselves. Again, this glorious history of throwing down has some real gems, doesn't it? Take colonization, for example. European powers like Britain, Spain, France, and Portugal decided they needed some more beachfront property. So they hopped into boats to politely acquire territories already owned by other people. And let's not mince words. This acquisition often involved what we'd now call state-sponsored terrorism, and in many cases, outright genocide. It was a violent takeover justified by the noble cause of spreading civilization. And let's be real, stealing every valuable resource in sight. Then there are the countless, endless wars. Figuring out who started each war is a fun historical rabbit hole, often involving a tangled web of treaties, egos, or someone hitting on some bro's hot girlfriend. And let's be honest, humanity as a whole? We're practically addicted to the roar of the crowd and the clash of, well, pretty much anything. Why this undying love affair with conflict? We cheer gladiatorial combat thinly veiled as sports, celebrating bone-jarring tackles and knockout blows. Murder is a significantly overrepresented and central plot device in popular media, particularly within the crime and drama genres. While a precise figure remains elusive, multiple studies on media content provide a strong indication of its prevalence. Within the highly popular genre of television crime dramas, murder is not just present, it's often the main event. An accidental study of mystery programs during the 1999 to 2000 television season found that a staggering 2/3 of all cases dealt with murder or attempted murder. Ironically, there haven't been any studies of that kind since. Can you say campaign finance? It's pretty fucking obvious that in a significant portion of primetime television, homicide is the narrative engine. Research consistently shows a stark disparity between on-screen crime and real-world statistics. Violent crime, and murder in particular, is far more common in fictional narratives than in reality. This overrepresentation can lead to a skewed public perception of an overestimated real-world murder rate. A significant portion of television programming, with some estimates suggesting 60 to 70% of all TV shows and films, contain some form of violence. Murder has been a pervasive and disproportionately featured element in movies and television since 2000. It is a dominant theme within popular genres, shaping fictional worlds, in turn influencing public perception of crime and violence. And then there's boxing, and WWF, and UFC, kickboxing, cage fights, slap fights, dog fights, chicken fights, robot fights, even women's bare-knuckle boxing. And we thought women were smarter than men. Millions of adults and soft-headed children watch and absorb this shit daily. The question of whether violence has become normalized due to its prevalence in television and film is one of the most studied and debated topics in media psychology. The overwhelming consensus among researchers is that while media violence is not a sole or direct cause of real-world violence, it plays a significant role in normalizing aggression and desensitizing viewers to the pain and suffering of others. Several well-established theories explain how exposure to on-screen violence can reshape our attitudes and emotional responses. Desensitization is the most direct form of normalization, where repeated exposure to a stimulus, in this case violence, diminishes our emotional and physiological response to it. The first time a person sees a graphic act of violence, they may feel shock, fear, or disgust. After seeing thousands of such acts in movies and TV shows, the response becomes muted. The shock is replaced by indifference. And viewers may require more extreme depictions to feel any emotional impact. This reduction in anxious arousal and empathy makes violence seem less significant and more commonplace. Developed by George Gerbner, cultivation theory argues that long-term, heavy exposure to media cultivates a perception of reality that is consistent with the world presented on screen. Since television and film depict violence at a rate far higher than it occurs in the real world, heavy viewers tend to develop what Gerbner called mean world syndrome. They are more likely to perceive the world as a dangerous and frightening place, overestimate their chances of being a victim of a crime, and become more fearful and mistrustful of others. This cultivated belief system normalizes violence as an everyday threat to be expected. Pioneered by Albert Bandura, social learning theory posits that people can learn new behaviors and social norms through observation and imitation. Media provides a vast landscape of models to observe. When a charismatic hero repeatedly uses violence to solve problems and is rewarded for it, gets the villain, saves the day, wins admiration, it teaches the viewer that violence is an acceptable, effective, and even heroic way to handle conflict. This is particularly influential for children and adolescents who are still developing their social scripts for how to behave in different situations. It's crucial to understand that the link isn't a simple cause and effect relationship. Several factors complicate the picture. While there is a strong correlation between high consumption of media violence and aggressive attitudes, it's difficult to prove one causes the other. Other factors, such as poverty, mental health, education, and family environment, are much stronger predictors of violent behavior. The way violence is portrayed is critical. Is it glamorized and consequence-free, like happy violence common in action films? Or is it shown as brutal, tragic, and destructive? Media that depicts the painful and realistic consequences of violence is far less likely to normalize it. The most you'll see on most TV shows is a couple of Band-Aids and some Neosporin, and they're at it again. I love when a bro gets shot and then somehow keeps running or fighting for 10 more minutes. Ask any wounded veteran about the reality of that bullshit. Fortunately, most viewers are not passive sponges. People interpret media through the lens of their own experiences, values, and critical thinking skills. Well, at least half the population, anyway. Most adults can clearly distinguish between fictional entertainment and real-world morality. But some 77 million adults and most children probably can't. While film and television are unlikely to turn a well-adjusted individual into a violent criminal, the evidence strongly suggests they contribute to a broad cultural normalization of violence. And your government doesn't give a flying fuck because, freedom. More like the freedom of political contributions of media conglomerates. In other nations, these are known as bribes. But I digress. We're all hurtling through cold and shitty eternal darkness on this big blue marble, a miraculous finite oasis in an infinite void. There's still plenty of space here, last I checked. Some of my Alabama neighbors literally own thousands of acres that were stolen from Native American tribes at some point. But they won't part with any of it simply because they don't want any neighbors interfering with their 8-year-old son's Bambi hunting shack. There is a ton of room to build billions of sandcastles without kicking over someone else's. Yet, we persist in drawing lines in the sand and then getting all worked up when someone dares to, exist on the other side of that imaginary line. Just look at the mess in and around Israel, and that's all about some invisible alien bros in the sky. Know what would be cool? A smackdown kickboxing match between Moses, Jesus Christ, and Muhammad to settle things once and for all. Sadly, their cleverly written fairy tales say, they all want we humans to do all the fighting for them, but only until they return to judge us, of course. Apparently, we may be their entertainment. Maybe it's time we the people channeled our inbred competitive spirit into something a little less stabby. We've already got Olympic curling and water polo, so that's a start. How about a global bake-off, or a fiercely contested game of charades? How about we compete in some activities in which humans use our minds rather than muscles? Let's compete in music, acting, dancing, writing, math, science, even art. Let's remove our ammo clips and boxing gloves for a beat, and see if just maybe we can all agree we're alone and stuck on this planet together. Maybe then we'll graduate to full adolescence, and who knows what else. What do you think?
Oh yeah.